Test, 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 test. We're live. Tracy, welcome. How you doing, mate? Everyone okay? It's that time of the week again. Afternoon LC exterior cleaning. It's going well. Had a bit of a ropey weekend, but it's going well. I had a stag do over the weekend, and it's the worst I've been for a long, long time. I walked home for some reason I didn't want to get in the car, so I walked home from where we were drinking at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Ended up at my mum's house, throwing up on the doorstep. Yeah, it wasn't good. I'm alright now, I'm fine today. I think I literally slept pretty much all day yesterday. It's such a waste. I've wrote the whole day off. Just absolutely wasted a day yesterday. If I'd have just stopped drinking at about like 10, 11 o'clock, I'd have been alright, but I carried on drinking until we left, and it's just silly. I had a game plan. Going into it, thinking if I'm going to go out afterwards, we'll have a meal, have some drinks. If I'm going to go out afterwards, I'm going to stick to like Coors Light or Bud Light or whatever they've got, so I can have a few of them, sort of keep up with everyone else. But instead of doing that, I was drinking like strong ale all night instead of doing that. You're still hungover, are you? Oh, Dan. It was a great night. The worrying bit is I've never been like fully out of control like that. Like, there's bits that I don't remember, which is concerning. I don't know. I won't be doing that again. No, I feel good. I feel all right today. Yesterday was a write-off. You know, every time you move or roll over, your head starts spinning a little bit. You feel like you're going to be sick. I had that all day yesterday. I didn't eat anything all day yesterday until about 7:30, 8 o'clock when Soph brought me a KFC home. I was shouting at people out of the car, apparently. I think I was concerned. I think I just didn't want to throw up in your car. That might have been why I didn't get in. I can't remember. XTX, welcome. Matt, how you doing? Who else we got? Andy, Russ, Chris, Jake, I need your advice. Having a driveway that's 720 square meters that needs resanding. Struggling with the price. You're cleaning it as well as resanding it. You need to price the whole thing, or you're just pricing up to resand. Never again. Till next time. Yeah. Great North, welcome. Chris, I don't know if you've had a chance to have a look on my quoting tool before, but it's smelt.club. 720 square meters. So generally, I'd be at around about a total of £4 per square meter for everything. This is a very conservative estimate of 48 bags of sand, which sounds like it's probably too much. This is based on one bag per 15 square meters. Oh, you've cleaned it, you're just looking to resand it. Okay. So this is based on 50p per square meter of labour and 48 bags of sand, which you could tweak that slightly. Might be more. It could be, as low as 30 bags of sand. It just depends on how thick the joints were. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a difficult one on such a big area. It could vary so much, but I don't think you're sanding 720 square meters in one day. So it might be worth doing the first lot on day one, coming home, measuring on Google Earth how much you've done in that day, and then just totaling how many bags of sand you need for the next day. My issue is getting so many bags of sand. The joints are huge. You could have it dropped off. Travis Perkins will drop it off for you on a small pallet. You could even order a bulk bag, but I don't know if they do bulk bags of kiln dried sand. Not sure. Best product to use on cladded roof to remove black spots. What do you mean by cladded roof? Like a zinc or like an aluminium roof? What do you mean? Cladded roof. Oh, like a corrugated metal. Yeah, like a tin roof. It's got black spots. Yeah, I mean, if the pallet arrives damp, then you tell them you don't want it. It's kiln dried sand, so it needs to arrive. It needs to arrive dry, and it arrives to their depots dry. You know what I mean? They never have issues with the damp pallets of sand. So if it can get to their depot dry, then I'm sure it can get to your property dry. You just need to find like a cupboard to store it under someone's carport or something. I have to speak to one of the neighbours. Or is that one property? Or is that like a shared access? I wouldn't have expected metal like this to like harbour black spots. Are you sure it's not fiberglass? Cladded roof. Because the fiberglass tends to you can't really see from these pictures. Me and Squeaky Clean Dave did one at a school in my town, and he used Synergy Pro on it, and it came up really well, like amazingly well, as if he was putting hypo on it. You could potentially do a mix of Synergy and hypo, although I wouldn't go in too strong with the hypo, depending on what it's made of. Hi Mills, how you doing? Also struggling with the idea that resanding is over £2,000. It's one property, a mansion. Oh my god. I mean that's. I understand when you put in a price like that. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe it's come out of that sort of money. But if they want the job doing properly, then that's what it's going to cost. I mean, ideally you'd have priced this before cleaning it, because then they'd have understood the whole scope of the work and how much it's going to cost. But if they can afford to live in a mansion with 720 square meters of block paving, then they can afford to maintain it. Well, you'd have thought they could anyway. Yeah, if it arrives damp, just send it back. If you have a look on Squeaky Clean Dave's new video on YouTube, he found a bit of a hack for resanding. I can never spell squeaky. He's been using a big brush, like a big petrol brush. You can just hire these. I'm sure they're not a lot of money to hire. One of these, look. And I bet that, I mean, I'm sure that's got its issues as well, with it being so bulky and heavy and carting it around all day. But I think, I think you still need a normal broom to sort of brush the excess and stuff, but it could potentially help on an area that big. And consider getting someone else to help you with it as well. I mean, I resanded 325 square meters of block paving recently, and I got my mate Callum to help me, because it's a big job. It's a big area to cover, and depending on the texture of the block paving, that's also going to determine how difficult it is and how quickly you can get it done. If it's rough, if it's weathered, and the aggregate's been exposed, if you brush some weathered block paving, just run a brush over it, and then brush some brand new smooth block paving that's still got its coating on the surface, there's a huge difference between how much friction's generated with the brush, and over a big area that can make a massive difference as well. Like this is what I say when people say, oh, it's just pressure washing, like you're making it overly complicated, but I'm not. There are a few little nuances to the job that, if you don't know them, especially on a big area like that, it's gonna. Dale, evening, Jake. I don't know why my internet's not working. Could you talk about the new pump you got for your gardener backpack and where you got it from, pros and cons, and is it easy to change? Yes, of course. So I got it from DA Components. And it's advertised as a replacement. Oh, I've got an itchy nose, sorry. 12-volt replacement chemical pump for backpacks. And they're all very generic pumps. They're all based off the same sort of design. So it was this one that I bought. And it's a slight improvement. It's 3.8 litres per minute instead of 2.3, I think the gardener backpack's got, or 2.4. So it's slightly more powerful. I don't like this song. I'd recommend most people just have one of these as a backup. And I know what it's like when you're first starting your business. Some people can't afford to just drop 40 quid on something that they might not need, but having this as a spare, if you're going to be running chemicals through your backpack, having this there just to quickly swap out when you need to do it, I think is a wise move. I wouldn't change it straight away unless your pump started to fail or started to play up or whatever. Mine lasted almost 2 years before I needed to replace the pump. Craig, welcome, mate. Thank you so much. That is very kind of you. Craig has become a circle member, and he's now got access to the Discord. Bruno, welcome. What's the best weed killer? So I've been pointing my customers in the direction of just acetic acid on Amazon, and it's the same sort of stuff I believe Darren sells. It's vinegar basically. This one here, you can get it. The reason I'm showing you this one is because your customers can just buy it on Amazon. You dilute it 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and it's just 30% acetic acid. And I've used it in the past on my property. I'll show you the results you can expect. My customer was saying to me the other day that he uses a weed killer that takes almost a week for you to start to see results, which I think is just a bit bonkers, really. Oh, I think I deleted it. I know I didn't. I just renamed it. Here we go. So this is the one Darren sells, and it's a secret one that's not on the website. But I believe this is the same sort of stuff, just acetic acid. I'm not sure what percentage it is, but this was day 1. So I just tried it on my own property. And then 2.5 days later, you can see they're massively wilted. And then a week later, almost gone. It had rained. I hadn't pressure washed. I hadn't messed about with them at all. And they'd virtually just turned to mush. Even the grass, I didn't expect it to kill the grass, but it has. Like if you look at that compared to that in just a week, I think that's pretty crazy. You guys are recommending Gallop. The issue with applying weed killer, or asking about weed killer, if you're using it on other people's properties, you need to have a PA1 and a PA6 license to be able to legally carry it and apply it. Yeah, Wizard of Wash just said the same thing. I've just switched from using my gardener backpack with a chemical pump to the bio-injector Dosatron to have chemical run through my system for first cleans and conservatory roof cleans. Yeah, it's the Dosatron looks fantastic if you can afford that sort of kit. What are they now? They're about 700 quid. At the moment, I'm using my X-Jet to apply Biocide on like a driveway, like this. This was Friday, and then I did another one today. And the X-Jet is perfect for doing on like a big area like this. And then if I'm using If I want to do it on a small area, I'll use my gardener backpack like this, just so it's a little bit more controlled. It's slower, but it does work. I just posted these in the chat today. This is so this picture was taken on Friday when I used back 50 from Pure Seal, 30:1, just through the gardener backpack. You can see all the green, all the algae. So this had built up since I pressure washed it back in January, I think. But again, it's been like very, very damp. Pressure washed it in about January, roughly. I've got the video on my channel. I can't remember when it was. Let me just double check so I can give you some accurate information. That was the roof clean that we did. Oh no, maybe it was further back. 8 months ago. There we go. I did it 8 months ago. Okay. So I've got this build up now. I applied the Biocide on Friday, and I went back to have a look today. And look at that. All that green has disappeared. There is still just like mud because Sophie's mum was moving the pots around. This is Sophie's mum's house, by the way. But all that green has just disappeared within 3 days, which I think is very cool. So showing my customers examples like this, just having these on my phone, easily accessible, when I'm trying to upsell a service like Biocide, like I did today, I just explain the benefits to the customer. To this particular customer, I'll show you the issue they were having. They had a load of moss between the joints. There was it was a very weedy drive, but I was just very clear with the customer that the Biocide is not a weed killer. It's designed to prevent organic growth like algae and moss And this time I've actually resanded first and then applied the Biocide, which I hadn't been doing up until recently, because I thought, you know, the other way round. I thought I'll apply the Biocide first and then brush the sand in, but then you're not coating the sand in Biocide. So give it a good clean today, Friday, and then went back today to resand and put the Biocide down. But like, there was so much sludge and moss that had come out from between these joints. But as long as you set their expectations and say, look, it's going to need topping up roughly about every 6 to 8 months just to keep it active, keep it on the surface, and you're still going to need to stay on top of the weeds yourself. But the other benefit of doing the Biocide was, even though I'd done a strong hypo treatment, it still didn't clear all these little black spots. This is after the hypo treatment. And so the Biocide will fade all those black spots in the next couple of months. On Sophie's mum's house, under this bush here, it was so green, like a huge green patch under the bush. And I went back today and it totally disappeared. And that will keep working now. Every time it rains, it will keep cleansing the surface. It will keep reactivating every time it rains. Look at that! Look at that roof. Oof. I drove past one of my that bungalow roof clean that I did recently. It looks stunning from the road. There's such a difference between hers and the neighbours. Which one was it? That one. It looks like now the Biocide's taken effect as well. It looks so much brighter than the neighbours. It's crazy. What does the Dosatron do? I believe you essentially just plug in the customer's water, plug in the garden tap into one. It measures the flow, and then it adjusts the proportion of the chemicals based on what flow is coming into it. So there's no like electronics or anything. I don't think it's. I think it's all mechanical. Yeah, proportional dosing without electricity, dependent on water flow. It's very clever. Does anyone know if it's locked if you get the Biocide injector? Because I know there's a hypo injector that I think Pure Seal are doing that now. I don't know. I can't remember. But you can't use the Biocide one for hypo because it doesn't. You can't like adjust it that far. Is that right? Does anyone know? Not suitable for sodium hypochlorite or caustic TFR. Yeah, I wonder what sort of adjustment you've got. Oh, here we go. The range is 1 to 18 all the way up to 1 to 128. Don't know what you'd need that for, that sort of dilution. 1 to 128. So yeah, Biocide starts at about 1 to 20 for roofs and then 1 to 30 for ground surfaces. So there is adjustment on it. It's very clever. Very clever. Is that a flow meter? I would like to have a little play with one of those. Let's catch up with some questions. Depitox for tough broadleaves like ragwort, or Gallop for annual and perennial grasses and broad-leaved weeds. Wizard of Wash, you sound like you know your stuff. You're a gardener as well. Did you use something to spray it on? Tracy, what were you talking about again? Are you talking about the weed killer or the... I just advise my customers to get a cheap pump sprayer and buy that weed killer from from Amazon, and then it's out of my hands. Then I've given them the advice, I've cleaned their drive, I've given them the advice, and then it's up to them if they want to stay on top of the weeds or not. At least I've educated them a little bit on sort of best practices and stuff to maintain the drive. And if they can't afford the Biocide treatments, then you just got to sort of make them aware that it might get to this point next year and it might need washing again. But if you go for the Biocide, you could potentially extend that period slightly. Hi guys, I'm Craig from Dr. Spray. Soak weeds every day. That's cool. Soak weeds every day. I'm a brand new company. This channel has helped me out loads. Thanks so much. Oh, no worries, Craig. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you're finding it useful. I got a question about sealing pattern imprinted concrete. Cleaned it today. It needs 2 coats of sealer. It's 65 meters squared. How many liters of sealer will I need? If you have a little look on smelt.club, 65 meters squared. You need to look at on the website, wherever you buy your sealer from, you need to have a look at the coverage. It's generally between about 4 and 6 meters squared per litre. With pattern imprinted concrete, you might get more like 7 or 8 because it's such a smooth surface and there's no like joints for the sealer to sort of fall down into. But based on 2 coats, it looks like you're going to need about 26 litres. But again, adjust this figure depending on what the website tells you. And always order slightly more. So if it was coming out at 26 litres, I'd always order 30 litres just to be on the safe side. Last thing you want to do is run out halfway through. And just be so careful as well with pattern imprinted concrete. Make sure the conditions are perfect. Try not to do it in sunlight. As soon as the sun comes out, there's a chance that when you apply that sealer, any pulls between the joints, it could blister if it's in direct sunlight. So you either want to do it like early morning or late afternoon when the sun's gone in. And also see if you can get hold of a moisture meter. I think I got mine from, it's this one, look, Tool Station. This one I might not be correct in using this for wood. Oh, here we go, concrete. Works on wood, plaster and concrete. You got to make sure you get the one that actually works with what you're trying to test. But I believe your moisture wants to be less than 11%, I think. I can't remember whether it's 17% or 11%, I can't remember. But do a good few tests all over the area. And then just follow the instructions of the sealer basically, because it should all tell you. I did one recently. I thought I was going to need a tint additive because it had lost its color slightly. I actually spoke to Smart Seal because I needed it like next day, and Pure Seal were going to the cleaning expo, so they couldn't get it to me next day. But I spoke to Smart Seal and they said just be very careful with tint additives. You probably don't need one because it can complicate things. He said wet the surface, and if it looks good while it's wet, then you don't need a tint additive. If the colour's still faded while it's wet, then that's when you'll need one. I did one fairly recently and it came up pretty well. There's a really good video you should watch as well, actually. I'll link it in the chat in just a second. It will literally tell you everything you need to know about concrete sealing. That was from Smart Seal as well. Have I gone past it? I might have gone past it. Oh, here it is. So this is after it was cleaned. You can see it still looks very ropey. There's light patches, there's dark patches, there's white bits. And I did it with a brush, which I kind of regret using the brush actually. I wish I'd just got a roller, I think, because the bristles just were constantly falling off this brush. I spent more time picking the bristles out of the sealer than I did actually doing the job itself. But that was just 2 coats of sealer, and look at how much it's brought the colour back. My internet's playing up. It doesn't normally take this long to load stuff. Something is not quite right. Get yourself a mask as well. It's very strong stuff. If you breathe it in for an extended period of time, you're going to go away with a headache. You're going to feel very floaty very quickly. It's all solvent based. If it's a proper concrete sealer, it'll be solvent based generally, I think. So yeah, not 100% happy with the finish. There were some areas where it probably could have done with a very slight tint, but the customer was pleased. And again, like, because I did it in direct sunlight, there was a few you probably can't see on here actually. You see where the old one has failed and it's blistered in the joints. That's what was happening to me. I had to keep going around with a paintbrush between the joints and just rubbing it, because there's literally big bubbles coming up in the areas where it was pooling, and obviously drying too quickly because the sun got to it. I don't know if you can see in any of these pictures. No, I must have took the pictures in a good spot. Oh, there you go. You can see a little bit of blistering there. Every time I've used concrete sealer, there's been an issue. So I don't like using it really. It's always because of the conditions that I'm doing it in. To find a perfect day in Britain to do this sort of work is difficult. Hope that wasn't too long-winded. But if you have a look on YouTube and type in Smart Seal Concrete Sealer, it's not the 2-minute one. It's the professional guide. Yeah, expert guide to cleaning and sealing. 22 minutes long. Smart Seal. It's that one there. Let me link that in the chat for you. There you go. I hope that wasn't too much of a long-winded explanation. Let me know if that answered your question, Daniel. Would you recommend Biocide for a post-treatment of surfaces? Yes. Yeah, it's a good... if you can sign someone up to like a maintenance plan, the Biocide is generally the option of choice. It depends what surface it is really, but I've heard some people actually include it in the price to pressure wash. They'll pressure wash, hypo, rinse, and then they'll always Biocide after they've resanded, just as part of the package. And this is where you've got to consider what level of service am I offering, and does my pricing reflect that? Like if it's little things. Like some people don't even go back and resand. I drove past one that was done a few weeks back and it's not been resanded. It's over a month ago now that he cleaned it, I think. Some people aren't doing chemical treatments. Some people aren't scooping all the crap out of the drains after they've cleaned them, after they've cleaned the driveway. Some people aren't washing down the windows or the bins. They're not putting plant pots back, all that sort of stuff. And that's okay if it's reflected in your price. If you're charging the same as someone else that's doing everything, then there might be a bit of disparity there, and you might want to think about adjusting your pricing. And also, as long as you're clear with the customer beforehand of what your level of service looks like, then they're not going to be disappointed. Random question, but does anyone spray paint for fences? If so, any recommendations for the full kit? We had a lad in our chat that does, I can't remember who it was. He's your regular chatter in the Discord. If you're here, he repaints window frames. So say you've got like white PVC window frames, he'll come in and mask everything up and repaint it in like grey or whatever. And he'd probably be the best person to ask. With the X-Jet, are you lowering the revs? I've seen lots of conflicting information. I just turned down the pressure on my pressure washer. Yeah, I'm turning down the unloader valve. And my machine is quite a beefy one, so I can't turn my revs down any further. That like I always run my machine at idle, basically. If I show you a picture of my machine, so I've got a 30 litre per minute pump, and obviously I'm not going to be using 30 litres a minute when I'm putting hypo down. So I've got a little my unloader valve is basically this little needle valve. This is my revs here. It's like a big boat. It's like a boat rev thing, and that's always at the lowest setting. Unless I'm using my surface cleaner, I might bump it up a little bit. But I just adjust the pressure on the needle valve, drop it to about between 100 and 150 bar, I think. Probably less than that actually. Maybe 100, 125 bar when I'm applying hypo. Or just when I'm using the X-Jet, full stop really. That's my little boy. Dale, hi Jake, second question if I may, of course. Keep the questions coming guys, because by the way, I don't have much planned to talk about tonight, so I've got a few bits that I want to show you, but I normally go through the week sort of writing things down that I think about, but honestly I've been so bloody busy these last few weeks. I haven't been able to get a video out tonight either. I've just had no time for editing. I say that like just after I've spent a whole day in bed yesterday, which, yeah. If you just apply back 50 to a roof that has got no moss on, will it, for example, clean the tiles as well as if you pressure washed it just over a longer period of time? Yes and no. It very much depends on the level of build-up on the roof. So you could potentially get the same results. Sorry, this music's very distracting. You could potentially get the same results. Like you say, it's just going to take a little bit longer. So if you were to apply Biocide to, there's different levels of liching. So like the yellow, I think Sid Partridge did a post in one of the groups where he broke down the different lichens. The yellow stuff I think he said was the quickest to disappear. White lichen will take ages for you to start to see results. It can take over a year, and potentially multiple applications. Let me show you a video of one that I did over a year ago now. So we're back in Bretforton after exactly 12 months since I scraped this roof and applied BioClear 50 from Pure Seal. You can see the difference, absolutely amazing.
Can't believe how good it looks still compared to the neighbours. Literally just scraping the moss off and applying the Biocide. And then round the front now, Zach's vacuuming the gutters out. There is surprisingly still quite a lot in the gutters. I reckon it's probably from what's been washed off the roof over the last 12 months. Even though there's no moss, there's quite a bit of silt, and just, I literally can't believe the difference. It looks amazing. There's still some white lichen, which the white lichen spots always take a little bit longer apparently with Biocide.
So yeah, I think that's because those tiles had lost their coating. Some of them were sort of darker than others, and that's just due to the age of the tiles. You'd have had the same results if you were to pressure wash it. But I think even pressure washing those big chunky white lichen spots, you could still have trouble getting those off with a pressure washer. So this was exactly 12 months, and I think that looks just as good as if it was pressure washed personally. It's just, you got to set the customer's expectations and let them know it's going to take a little bit longer. So you can either have instant results, pressure wash it, providing your roof it's like structurally sound, it's in good condition, no damaged or slipped tiles, no loose mortar, no issues with the membrane, the felt. Because if you do pressure wash it, it's just going to exacerbate all those issues and make them worse. If it's an old, knackered roof, you probably don't want to pressure wash it. But if it's in good condition, crack on. If it's an old roof, you might want to discuss scraping it instead of pressure washing it and then just applying the Biocide. Does anyone that does roof cleaning, do you tend to charge more for one service over the other? Say it's the same roof, you're discussing options with the customer, and you're looking at either scraping it and applying Biocide or pressure washing it and applying Biocide. Is there a price disparity between those two services, or would you charge the same? I think the customer's going to end up with the same result. It's just going to take longer if you're scraping it. But also, I think scraping a roof is physically much, much more demanding than pressure washing it. And pressure washing it is a very difficult job in itself. I don't know where I am with that. Customers have asked me before, like, is it cheaper if I get it scraped? I'm like, not really. If anything, it should be more expensive. But they're not getting that instant result. Hello. Good night. Oi. Oi. Can I have a cuddle?
Hello.
Say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
My name's Poo Poo Head.
My name's Maya. That's Zach and you.
It is Zach and me. Well done. Well spotted. You picking your nose? You cheeky monkey. You gonna have a good sleep?
Yeah.
What are we doing tomorrow?
Playgroup.
Playgroup.
But we need to give Violet some.
Need to give Violet her invite to your pony party.
Yeah. Invitation.
Invitation, well done. Can I have a kiss?
Yeah.
In a bit. Oh, I love you. See you in the morning. Just wondering, investing with Dean, sorry. Just wondering, what's the best budget setup for starting a pressure washing business? Appreciate all the videos and advice you're putting out. No worries, man. Thanks for watching. When you say budget, what budget are we talking? What sort of, what's your price range? I've got a video, the first ever video that I put out on my channel shows you how I started my business for less than 400 quid. Very basic, not commercial level equipment. It was just a domestic machine. To this video at the very bottom of my channel. That's how I did it. Other people have done similar, working out the back of their cars with one of those Wilks machines from Amazon. So it can be done. It just depends if you want to skip the gradual and inevitable upgrading over the course of 6 to 12 months, or whether you just go straight in at the deep end and get a proper machine and you know. Hi Hooper, you're right, mate. Cheers, Jake. The customer sent me a picture after it dried and it looked like the one you did before the sealant. I'll give Smart Seal a ring because I think it does need a tint. Okay. Yeah, they were very forthcoming with their advice, so I'm sure you get a watch that video as well, the one that I've linked. It's a very, very good video. It's quite long-winded, but it'll tell you everything you need to know. Okay, makes sense. I'm using Concern 21 litre, a Lonsin 21 litre per minute machine. Nice. And you've done 720 square meters with just you on your own. How long did that take you to do, Chris? How's the new guy getting on with you? He hasn't started yet. He starts on the 12th, I think. I can't wait. It's going to be... I'm not going to say it. It's going to be a game changer. What equipment do you use? Oh, sorry. What equipment do you use for roof cleaning? So I've got a couple of different bits. I've got the gutter vacuum systems. Why is my internet so slow? I've got the roof scraper kit from Gutter Vacuum Systems, but I've just put it on the end of my CLX22 Gardener water-fed pole. So I've got an adapter that goes into the end of my my pole to fit these scraper heads. It's not the best pole for scraping. It's very, very wobbly. It's nice and light and stuff, but it's not as long as I'd like it, and it's not very stiff at all. So I'm losing a lot of energy with the pole sort of wobbling. Whereas if it was stiff, it'd be much more. There'd be much more intent behind each scrape, but when there's so much flexibility in it, I'm losing a lot of that energy. In your lower back, you know, going side to side and stuff, it can really take it out of you, especially at height. So I went for the double scraper head because I thought I can have the brush on one side and like a flat scraper on the other. And to be honest, I didn't really use the brush at all. But that's the kit I got, and you can get a 10 blade kit, or you can get a 18 blade kit. I think it's like a 29 blade kit. And then to pressure wash roofs, I went for the power pole. Come on. You got around a 1 to 1.5k budget, already own the van. That's a decent budget for starting out. You might want to look at something a little bit better than what I started with then. So this is my power pole that I've got for pressure washing roofs. I rate it. I think it's a great piece of kit. It comes with everything you need. Some other poles you have to sort of buy the pole and then figure out which adapter kits are going to work with it and stuff, and this just all comes with it in the box, and it's very easy to piece together. And that's what we were using for. But I'm not a roof cleaner. You probably shouldn't be taking roof cleaning advice from me. I've only done a few, really. I've done a bunch of scrapes, some by hand, some with a pole, mainly bungalows. And then I've done 2 pressure wash jobs on a roof. This was a waste of time. Get a proper one. If you're going to get one of these surface cleaners for roofs, just don't bother with a cheap one. Just get a proper one. Waste of time. Does your calculator account for roof scraping? No. No, there's a lot of things I could add to that calculator. Generally with the roof cleaning, the consensus seems to be, say for example, you've got, which one can we use? We'll use this one. Let's have a look on Google Earth. Let's get a random house over here. Can we see the roof? Let's just go with this one. So what I tend to do... Is that the one I just cleaned the other day? Oh my god, it is. What are the odds of that? I've literally just scrolled to the house that we washed the drive for the other day. We did the drive and the slabs and the patio out the back. I thought I recognised that Badgerbrook Lane. That's crazy. Did you see how I just sort of swiped across and landed on this close? That's nuts. So let's take this roof. What I would generally do, if I was quoting a roof clean on this job, is I'd do a rough measurement. It's always quite difficult when there's shadows and they always seem to be a little bit wonky, a little bit off. But you can do your best with it. And then to account for the pitch, so we've got 105 meters squared. But if you imagine, if I were to lay this roof flat on a table, that pitch is going to spread out the surface area. So we need to try and account for some of that pitch. So generally, depending on how steep the roof is, you want to times that by about 1.5. So if it's like a 45-degree angled roof, you'd times it by 1.5. Hello.
Hello. Do you want that ice coffee without the ice?
Is it not set? Yeah, I added some.
Or if it's not set?
I'm sure it will be. But yeah, without if it's not. Can you not warm it up first?
Yeah.
Thanks. You right?
Yeah.
So 105 times 1.5 is 157 meters squared.
She said she came to say goodnight to you.
She did, yeah. And then so we've got the square meterage. My rough price per square meter is around about £7 to £8 for roof cleaning. Depending on access and stuff, depending on how difficult I think it's going to be. For pressure washing a roof, let's look at access on this one. I don't know if you're going to get a tower on this corner just because of how steep that drive is, but you definitely get a tower on the flat bit there. Could be potentially quite awkward, this one, because you're right next to a road. Don't really have much space for the tower. What's the back garden looking like? Oh, we've got this whole bit that I've missed off the measurement. And they've got a garage roof over there that I've missed. But yeah, to clean that main roof, looking between about £1,100 if I put in £8 per square metre, because it's either low water pressure, poor drainage, poor access, some difficult movements with the tower. It could go up to about £1,256, but you can play around with these figures and just get something that you're happy with. And once you've done a few, you can get this square meterage price sort of down to a T. If you do a roof clean and you're like, yep, I'm happy with how much I've earned, the customer thinks they've got good value, then you want to remember that price that you gave and work out what it costs per square meter. Make sure it accounts for roughly how many days the job's going to take, tower hire if you need to go and hire a tower, your biocide, your chemicals. Spotted your oil clean on Instagram. Was that Synergy? Yes, it was, yeah. Yeah, this was just neat Synergy. I didn't charge for this one because it didn't, if I'm honest, it didn't fully come out. This is a lady that I've done a bit of work for, actually. I put her Christmas tree lights up and I've cleaned her drive, and she's asked me to book in the rear patio as well now. So she's given me a lot of work, and she's a bit devastated because I think I cleaned it back in March, and she said I've had a decorator come in and his van's dripped oil on my drive, and she's a bit fuming about it, and he's not being very good. So I just thought I'll pop over in between jobs today, just before I grab some lunch. I just spent sort of 40 minutes having a go at it with some neat Synergy and just like a low pressure rinse. Most of it came out, but I said to her, when it dries, it's not going to look this good. I can still see some slight clouding. Much better than it was. I wish I'd have took a before picture, actually. Much better than it was, but there was still some clouding on there. This is what I've been up to this morning. Washing some gutters and fascias. Look at that. My customers are the best. This one was quite a difficult one because the drainage was rubbish. There was no drains, basically. And she didn't have an outdoor tap, which I did already know, but I forgot when I arrived. And so we had to knock on the neighbour's door, and luckily they had an outdoor tap that they were happy for me to use. Dino says, hello Jake, can I just thank you mate for all of your advice and guidance on this channel. I've learned so much from you and just completed my first pressure wash today using hypo and it looked well pucker. Dino, that's fantastic mate, well done. Congratulations for getting your first job under your belt. Have you got any pictures you could send me? Maybe send me some pictures on Instagram or something, or Facebook. Generally charge more for steaming and biocide. Okay. Yeah, if you're doing steam cleaning as well, surely that turns the price up even more because you're using that extra diesel for your boiler. Do you get people to sign a tanned C before work is carried out? I don't know what that means, mate. I'm guessing it's like you're not liable for any damage or all that sort of stuff. I'd like to do that. I've just not had time to write anything like that up. But yeah, that would be the route. Thanks, mate. I'll check out your first video. I'm ideally looking for around 1,000 to 1,500 budget. Did you use a surface cleaner with your first Parker? No. I bought a little one, but it was rubbish. I think anything under around about 15 litres per minute, and it's not worth using a surface cleaner on. And also don't bother with block paving. Which brings me nicely onto something that I've been mucking about with. I've got some 0 degree the other day. I've got two 040 pencil jets. This is unedited Jake. Talking a little bit slower. No idea what I need to say next, but I eventually sort of get there. But you don't see this in the videos because I cut all that all that out. I think I was feeling very slow that morning as well. 0 degree jets from pressure washer sales and service the other day. With the flat surface cleaner, so I'm going to change these over. These are, I've lowered the bar on this to try and get the bar closer to the ground, and I also tried some 15 degree fan jets, but they just weren't getting the weeds up, so I'm going to do another attempt with some pencil jets to see if they can focus some of that pressure in a smaller area. I'll change those over now. This is quite a cool clip of the pencil jets. Slow-mo. So I'm trying some, there's a bit of wobble on that bar. One of those jets is lower than the other, and it's introducing a bit of wobble. I don't know whether it's been badly stored, because I bought this for about, I think I bought it for about 150 quid off an old friend, my brother's old mate. He was going to start a pressure washing business and then just didn't bother. But I think he must have stored it with some stuff on top, and it's probably bent the bar over time. Evening jet washed. Welcome. Did you pressure wash her gutters or use the gardener? I did both. I did a low pressure wash with the extendable pole, with the high pressure pole, power pole, and then I brushed in some TFR, and then I rinsed again with the power pole. They came up really good, to be fair. This is my first test. So I went from 15 degree fan jets. Well, I started out at 25 degree. Didn't touch block paving, the weeds, the moss, none of it. Then I moved to 15 degree fan jets, and it was slightly better. I'm trying to get rid of all the weeds between the joints. So I'm turning my revs up full blast. I'm on 200 bar, maybe slightly more than 200 bar actually. And I've got, yeah, pencil jets. This was my first attempt. Turn the revs up slightly. Rinsed it off. That is much better than what my 15 degree jets were doing, to be fair. It's cleared all of that moss. There are just a few weeds left over, but it's done a much better job. This is a very weedy driveway. You can see where I've gone slightly too quick here, because there's not such a spread on these jets. It's much easier to see the lines if you go slightly too quick. That's good though. I think I'm going to do the rest of the drive like this. Quite a big one. So, although I say that it was good, it was like passable results. Thank you so much.
Oh, I forgot the straw. They were all like half or a quarter frozen, so
you've really
got very small ice cubes in there.
What's that? Thank you. That's lovely. I think your hair just went in that then. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
No.
That's lovely, thank you. You right?
Welcome.
You going running?
Nah.
Come on, come say hello. Use your words.
Don't know what to say.
Use your words.
Hello.
Hi everyone. My name's Sophie. And I'm an alcoholic. So yeah, although I did do the whole drive with this, I felt like I totally wasted my time because I still had to go over the whole drive again with the turbo nozzle. So this whole probably 45 minutes I spent doing this just felt like a total waste of time. If it had got rid of every single weed, then it'd have been fine. But it didn't really get rid of any weeds. It cleaned the driveway and it got the moss out, but all the weeds were still there. So I don't know if it's even worth doing. Maybe with two of us. Maybe one of us starting out with the surface cleaner and the other one washing behind with just catching all the weeds. But then it's harder. Then you're much more likely to miss weeds then. If you do the whole thing with the turbo nozzle, you can see where you've been, and you're gonna get every weed. I had to keep clearing this drain with my foot because every time it got covered with a bit of moss, it almost flooded into the garage. I don't think I'm going to do a satisfying wash down here. There was so much sludge. I did this about 3 times, and each pile just seemed to get bigger. Pretty big drive, to be fair. You could fit about 6 cars on this drive. And this is just me going back over it with the turbo, getting all the edges. So look, I'm doing the whole thing again. So what was the point in me doing the first bit? I don't think anyone's machine and flat surface cleaner would have done a much better job. I don't know who's cleaning drives. I don't know who's cleaning block paving with surface cleaners and getting good results. I don't know what they're doing. I think now I've done pretty much everything possible to try and get the best results, and it's still not good enough. So I just don't see the point. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So yeah, not sold on surface cleaners for block paving at all. That's pretty crazy. Your mum's house, isn't it? From that to that. 3 days.
You grew some legs as well.
Let's have a look. Hi Jake, when cleaning decking, do you leave the biocide without rinsing? If so, are there any issues with pets, etc. walking on it afterwards? Pure Seal recommend that if there's pets, you might want to apply the biocide, leave it for like half an hour to an hour, and then rinse it. And by that time it should have had, especially if it's wood, it should have had a chance to absorb into the wood. But I don't see the issue with, if you're using a fairly weak mix of biocide, like 1 to 30, you're applying it to the surface, especially with something like decking. If it absorbs it and it dries while you're at the property, which it probably will if it's like a decently sunny day, I don't know how the animals are then going to be affected. If it's fully absorbed and it's dry, maybe when it rains again and it reactivates, I don't know. I don't honestly know. I tend to tell my customers to keep the pets off it for at least 24 hours. Maybe I could do with doing the Biocide course that Pure Seal do. Because I do have a few questions about it as well. It's normally regarding pets and children, but to be honest, most of the time if I'm cleaning a property, I just won't use Biocide if there are pets around. I'll use Hypo, and I'll tell the customer, don't let your dog out, you know, for the next 12 hours. But if I am using Biocide, I'll be very specific and say, keep them off it for 24 hours. Make sure there's no puddles. They can get all sorts of burns and stuff. I actually got Biocide on my arm today. Neat Biocide when I was washing out one of my tubs. I had like a measuring jug that I just poured Biocide into, and I dabbed it against my arm as I was turning a tap on, and I had all this, because it's very gloopy, I had it all up my arm, and so I just had to quickly run my arm. Luckily I was right next to the tap. I had to quickly run my arm under the tap and just keep rubbing it for ages. But again, like, I don't know what that would do to you if I hadn't have done that. So maybe I just need to educate myself a little bit more. That Biocide training course would probably be handy now that I'm doing more sort of maintenance cleans and like offering more ongoing maintenance, and I'm using Biocide a lot more lately. Maybe that'd be a good move. What is your new pressure washer? Just purchased the Alpha A4 with a 30-meter hose and reel mounted to the frame. Virtually the same thing. Yeah. Soph McFlurry Mondays make it happen. Oh, Luke, I think I missed your message earlier. I didn't mean to breeze past you, mate. I'm sorry. Shagger. What's this new naughty machine? Reveal the big dog.
No McFlurry today.
You want to see my new machine?
You need a detox.
Yeah, I do.
Of all rubbish in your body.
Yeah. Do you want to see my new machine?
Not if it's sexual.
So this was the first video Ollie sent me from pressure washer sales and service over in Evesham. Did I say video? I meant picture.
Yeah.
This is the first picture he sent me. It's been sent off to be powder coated, and he just got it back, and he sent me this picture. The colour is perfect. I told them KTM orange, and he's just sent me these today. And he said they're just waiting for a battery cover. So I sent him a picture of like the sort of frame that I was looking at, and he's absolutely nailed it. Took everything apart, stripped it down, sent it off for powder coating. So this is a Honda GX 390. It's got a 21 litre per minute pump, 200 bar. I think it's got all the goodies on it. It's got the inlet filter. I wonder if he's put a pressure gauge on it. I can't see the pressure gauge. Might have to ask him about that. But doesn't it just look beautiful? Do you like it? Mm-hmm. So this is for my new employee. My first ever employee. Excellent orange trolley. Is that your own design? I'm going to have to get Soph's opinion on that trolley that I designed. Everyone's telling me I'm
stupid.
Silly, yeah.
This is why we've had to calm your ideas down your whole life.
I have a lot of ideas. I have to slide them past Soph and see what she thinks, and if she gives me the nod, which she rarely does, if she gives me the nod, I know it's a good idea.
And what was my only nod that I've pretty much ever given you?
To start a pressure washing business.
Thank you. Look at me now. Look at me. I'm getting people.
It's a good idea, it just needs tweaks. Hi Jamie. AGC cleansing, welcome. I've had it just over 8 weeks, 21 litre per minute electric start, absolute shagger of a machine. Hose reel will come in clutch every time. Be wary of the locking nut coming loose
I keep doing that.
and ending up on the floor. Okay. So yeah, we wanted the hose reel on this because I wanted the versatility of not having it mounted in the van. So if I need to potentially, someone mentioned, if I need to drop Jakey off on a job while I go and do something different, or he needs to go and set up round the back or something, it would be nice for him to be able to move the machine around. I'm thinking probably quite often we're just going to pull the machine out the back of the van and just drop it on the floor. But we've got a buffer tank for this as well. Just so we can take it around and about. She's a beauty.
Thank you.
I'm very pleased.
I'm a good gal.
The hose reel looks insane. I think that's 30 meters on there. And then we've got a 20-meter extension. Pretty sure. What was the powder coating? I think the powder coating cost was £150 plus VAT. But that was including another 25-meter reel. So they've got this one for me as well. Which is a low pressure 3/4 inch reel with the hose on it. And they've powder coated this in orange as well for me. Which is very cool. And I think they've done the wheels, because looking at that picture, I see some wheels in there, which I don't think they belong on this. So they must have done the wheels for that as well. The effort they've gone into, because I wonder how difficult it is to get the tyres on and off of that without scratching the powder coating. But yeah, it's a very high effort build. I'm pleased with it. I'm very excited to show it to Jakey. Imagine it's an absolute game changer. If I'd have had this machine when I first started my business, it would have been insane. To be fair, I wouldn't have had the space. I was working out the back of Soph's car, so it wouldn't have worked. The frame and the machine weigh a ton. Make sure you get ramps. Yeah, I was thinking ramps, or potentially because there's two of us big boyos, can we lift that in and out ourselves? Do you think we need ramps? Or do you think two big hefty boyos can get that in and out the van? I don't want to have to carry ramps around with me. I mean, to be fair, I could just slot them up onto the wall of the van. I've got plenty of wall space. Ramps 100%, really. Amazon ramps, 55 quid, not worth hurting your back. Yeah, true. And if you drop it, the last thing I want to do is drop that machine. Quad bike ramps, nice set of orange ramps. Ooh, orange ramps. Yeah, okay. Better in green. Yeah, alright, I'll get some ramps. Hose reel is an absolute game changer. Makes life so much easier, not having to unreel it, or having the options of beauty. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about just getting a 20-meter hose for it and wheeling it around the property, but I think this is going to be so much more versatile. I think I'll be glad that I chose the reel. Hi Jake, have you ever done black limestone patio? If so, how'd you clean it? Got my first one to do roughly 60 square meters. Yeah, be very careful, mate, with black limestone. One of the lads in my chat did one recently, and he etched it, unfortunately. I'm not going to be able to find it. I've got one on my channel that I did that's similar. This one's blue limestone. I mean, I suppose the benefit of the black limestone over the blue limestone is that if you etch it, you can get the black limestone restorer. And I don't think you can get that stuff for the blue. So this video was literally a full walkthrough of pretty much how I clean this limestone. Similar concept. So what I'm doing here is 40-degree fan jets on my surface cleaner. Fairly low pressure compared to what I'd normally use. I actually cleaned this one last year. I cleaned it and biocided it. But the issue is, while it's wet, you're not going to see any of those etch marks. That's the problem. So you start on one section, you think, oh, that looks fine. And then when it dries, you see all your tram lines and where you've cut in the edges. And it's very, very clear etch marks. And it's permanent. It's permanent damage to the patio. And it's not, you know, replacing a patio on this sort of scale because it's been permanently damaged. That's going to be, the price is going to be astronomical. So I don't know what I'd have done if I'd have etched this. And potentially the blue stuff isn't as prone to etching because it's not as powdery as the black stuff. But black limestone, so I'm just doing a very light wash. So I surface cleaned most of it and then just did a light wash with a 65-degree fan jet. This is like a 65-degree sort of power broom that PWSAS gave to me. Same guys that have just built my machine for me. Because it's a toss-up, like I said to the customer. I can get all the moss and the weeds out from between the joints, but we're going to risk, you know, going too close with the pressure washer and etching the surface. And last year, instead of, I just gave everything a light rinse last year and sort of brushed the joints with literally just with a stiff brush, and then biocided everything. This year I've actually pressure washed the whole surface. But you can get a for the black limestone, you can get limestone restorer.
Go for a shower.
Huh?
Go for a shower.
Going for a shower?
No, you go for a shower.
You need me to go for a shower?
You stink.
I've just had one.
I'm joking.
Also, by the way, if you've not been on the Pure Seal website, when you go on the shop, go down onto the right hand side and you've got all these categories and you can basically search which products are suitable for every surface. So limestone cleaning and sealing. You don't want to use hypo. You only want to use some sort of biocide based product. Don't use any sort of acid. So I use Back Clear Pro as like a post treatment. If you want something to sort of loosen up the dirt and draw some of that contaminant to the surface, you can use Max Clean Pro on the day. So apply that, agitate it and rinse it off. That's got a hint of biocide in it as well. And then you've also got the limestone restorer. And this is basically just almost like a limestone, like a black paint. So it goes from that to that. And it's great if that's what the customer wants. Like if if they want it, you know, black again. I don't even think it matters if you etch it. At that point, if you've etched it and then you apply this stuff, I'm pretty sure that covers up all the marks, because they generally say, when people post up saying, what do I do now, I've etched it, they'll say, you know, the only thing you can do now really is apply some limestone restorer. But like I said, I don't think you can use this on the blue stuff, can you? Can be used on black limestone, most natural stones, brick, concrete paving, absorbent, marble and granite. Oh, there you go. But will it turn it black? Or will it just enhance the original colour? Do not dilute, shake well. Pour, do not pour directly on the paving. Apply using a paint pad, one paver at a time. Assure an even coat. Mop up the residue with a rag or a lint-free cloth immediately. Absolute piece of kit that is. Honda GX390, yes. I and ahed, I can't lie. Daz sold me into the Briggs electric start. It's been a dream so far. Oh, that's the other thing I forgot to say. It's an electric start. Yeah, I did ask about the Briggs, but Ollie sold me on the Honda. You have done well. Be proud of your achievements. We all appreciate your advice and videos. Oh, thanks, mate. Thanks, Jamie. Get wheelchair, bike access ramps, yeah. Amazon ramps, 55 quid, not worth hurting your back. Defo need ramps. Nice set of orange ramps. Quad bike ramps. £100 off Amazon. I've got a set you can have if you want to meet me and collect. Oh, that's very kind of you. AGC cleansing, thank you. I might have to take you up on that. You know how tight I am. My GX390 weighs a ton. Even with two of us, I need 6-foot ramps to get in and out of the van. Now I just work from the van. Yeah, I would... If I was confident in all my hose fittings on the buffer tank, I'll happily work from the van. But I've been having so many issues with leaks in my on my pressure washer. Just little fittings here and there just leaking on the buffer tank. And I had a burst hose the other day as well. Burst high pressure hose. And it's just like my van is just constantly getting wet in the back at the moment. Two big hefty boys will end up with one of you tweaking your back. Yeah, you're probably right. Have you seen the general chat about the back 50 being replaced with potential vinegar? What are you talking about? Anyone else having trouble with the chat on tonight's live stream? It wasn't showing. Won't let me chat. Oh no. Sorry guys. A business near me is selling vinegar as back 50. Absolutely reeks of vinegar. Don't waste your money just having something to eat. Back 50 needs to be licensed. Unfortunately, some people in this industry. Soft wash biocide. This stuff's like water. 50% biocide, professional use only. Does it say what's in it? So they're selling it as biocide, but you reckon it's just vinegar, just acetic acid. $40 to 1. And in the summer, 50 to 1. Okay. on any surface. I don't know about that. Yeah, that's a weird one, that is. The label doesn't show anything about back 50. It does say Biocide at the top, but I mean, I suppose you could call anything a Biocide if it's like a... I don't know, can you call anything that... Because I suppose sodium hypochlorite is classed as a Biocide as well. I heard. It's just a faster acting Biocide, isn't it? Or it's in the same category or something, I don't know. Electric Start GX390. Daz said how difficult it was making them into Electric Start. Cracked it with that though now. Yeah, I think converting one that isn't Electric Start into one that is sounds like a very difficult job. Thank you, AGC. Oh, this is another roof with pressure washed. So I've done like 3. I forgot about this one. I've got to go back to this one again because I still haven't got around to Biocide in it. Because it was raining on the last day of the cleaning when I was planning on Biocide in it. Prompt peak. Where did the ants come from? I don't know. I sent this video in the chat this morning. Getting a load of bloody ants in the back of my van. Oh, see all the eggs? I popped that whole side panel off. That whole that panel there. And there was so many. And then I found them in the cab today as well. Got ants all in my cab. Climbing all over my knees when I'm driving. Don't know where they're coming from. I don't know why they chose my van. Maybe it's the cheeseburger wrappers that I'm leaving on the floor or the crisp packets. Nice little soft wash from Lee. No pressure. Just chemical. She came up a beauty. Got this booked in next week. The guy's insisting I use Dan Sand, £14 a bag. As long as the customer's paying for it. This takes longer to sweep in. Might want to consider charging more. I've got 90 square meters of pressed concrete tomorrow. Wait to dry, then reseal. Brush or sponge, which is better? You could also do a roller. I use the brush kit from Smart Seal. Also watch that video that I linked in the chat earlier as well. I don't know if I still got the link loaded, locked and loaded. There it is. Have a look at that video. And shop by surface, imprinted concrete. So I basically use this kit with this sealing broom. But what I did find that the bristles kept coming off, and it does say, because you can reuse this over and over again, as soon as you dip it back into the drum it sort of re-emulsifies and loosens up again, but it does say Prior to use, submerge in sealer for 10 minutes. The hairs will soften, allowing reusage. Prior to use, pull on the broom hairs and work over a hard surface to remove any loose ones. I did that. I did it for about maybe 5 minutes. I was fluffing it and brushing it on a wall. I was brushing it on the side of the wall of the property and kept pulling them out. But I still ended up losing bristles in the sealer. And I spent more time pulling the bristles out than I did actually sealing the surface. So you might want to consider a roller. It was a good method for applying it. Like it worked well if the bristles didn't fall out. How do they do it in the video? Are they using a brush? I can't remember. Yeah, he's using a brush, look. Oh, it is an half a long-winded video. There we go, got some action. Got some brushing action. That will be how I roll. There you go. Elliot Langley, thank you. What are you thanking me for? Did I answer one of your questions earlier? I don't recall. Oh, there we go. Limestone. Oh, okay, yeah, I did. No worries. Evening all, the Lawn Ranger. How you doing, mate? Anyone else had a message from a scammer saying you owe money for drugs and then they get really nasty? Said they would come. Oh dear. You want to report that to the police, mate. Aussie Daz, good day, mate. Been thinking about starting a pressure wash. I want to try the accent, but I think I'd embarrass myself. Thinking about starting a pressure washing business. I'm in Australia. Should I buy a setup skid or just use the equipment as I need? Or just buying the equipment needed as I go? What's your situation? Do you like own? Do you own a truck? Have you got a van? Have you got storage? Because I know in Australia it's a little bit different to the UK. My brother's living out there at the moment, and everyone seems to have like land and like a shed or storage or whatever. And depending on weather out there, you might want to consider a trailer mounted system if you can. But I don't know what your situation is, and have you got like a budget in mind that you want to start out with? I could point you in the direction of a machine or something, but whether you go for like a trailer or a van, or is it a ute? Ute? Starting from scratch with 20 grand. That's a healthy budget. What does a ute look like? Just a pickup, isn't it? Yeah. Is that a Vauxhall Monaro? These are cool. I wanted one of these for a long time. You've got a ute, is that what you said? Aussie Daz. Yeah, if you've got something like this and you can whack a buffer tank in the back. 20 grand's a healthy budget, man. I'd suggest, personally, if you're happy spending that kind of money on a full setup, you could get a van mounted system like the one that was at the cleaning expo. PWS do a I mean, I know you're on the opposite ends of the world, but you get an idea of of what it would look like. They do like a van mount system like this with a buffer tank on the back, and so it would just be like a Honda or a Briggs and Stratton engine and a pump with a tank on the back. Something like this, but probably without the boiler. I don't think you'd necessarily need a steam cleaner as a new business. But you guys tend to have a little bit more space to play with than we do in the UK. You tend to have bigger vehicles, bigger storage, more land. So I might consider having a trailer if I had somewhere to store it at night. But as it is, I have to keep everything in the van. I don't think I'm going to get a picture. Something like that. You could pick that system up for 10 grand, easy. Or 20 grand. You can get those in a V8 or a V6, I can't remember, they're sick. Yeah, rear wheel drive as well. What's the situation with the maintenance of your machine? How often do you check things? It's probably coming up to needing its first service now, I'd say. But also because it's van mounted, I'd argue that things like air filters and stuff are less prone to getting clogged up. If you're pressure washing right next to your machine and constantly spraying it with dirt and it's getting rained on and all that sort of stuff and things are going rusty, then oil, like replacing the oil on your machine, it's hard to say because it's generally based on hours rather than months or time. It's there's Maya, look. We should get Darren back on to maybe talk about servicing, because I'm not the best person to ask. But yeah, something like that I think would be ideal for you, mate. Hi, Greg. You're right, mate. Changing oil in the pump, how often? Just did the engine, but wondered if to change both at the same time. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Is that Project A down there sneaking around? I think it is. That would be perfect. I think it's well within your budget if you can find someone to build that kind of system for you. And that would just sit on the back of your ute, unless you want to stick it in a trailer. Have you got a trailer handy? I'm trying to see if I can find their pickup mounted machine that they had at the cleaning expo, because that shows you like a good reference for the size. Every 100 hours, I'm sure, or is it once a year if you're not reaching those numbers? Oh, okay. Every 100 hours for everything, for the engine oil and the gearbox and the pump. There it is in the background there, look. There's me and Darren, Squeaky D. Here we go. So that's got a boiler with it as well, which, like I say, you're probably not going to need. But that looks like a 500 litre tank, is it? Is that a 500 litre? Can anyone confirm? The only thing this doesn't have, by the looks of it, is the low pressure reel. So you're still going to need the room for a low pressure reel from the customer's tap. That was a beautiful iced coffee. Yeah, it's snug and it doesn't leave you much room for any other equipment, but I mean if you lose the boiler and swap that for a low pressure mounted reel, 3/4 inch hose, you could save a bit of room. And depending on whether you got a cab, what's the price tag on that? It's got a boiler with it, so it's not going to be a good reflection of the price, but they're mounted systems. Let's price one up. Cold water van mount. Let's go for the electric start Vanguard. 21 litre per minute, 200 bar. Turbo pack. That's a really good price, that is. 2.7 excluding VAT. That's a corker of a price, that is. And that comes with, I think it's like 20 meters of hose. Both lances. Yeah, it's nice. It's Darren's been working on these for a long time. He's got various iterations of this frame, and I think he's getting to the point where he's perfected it now. And then you can add a boiler on the side if you want to. Lots of different options. That looks like my old van with the tank mounted like that and my old low pressure reel on the top. Razzle dazzle. So in 2,700 is, yeah, 5 grand in Australian dollar. So that barely eats into your budget, really. But can you find someone in your area to build you something like this? That's the question. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure washer suppliers. My brother was on a farm and they had a decent looking pressure washer just to sort of muck out some of the stables and stuff, I think. I can't remember. I'm just going to play a quick advert, guys. Hope you don't mind. Now, these videos take a lot of time and effort to film and edit on top of trying to run a successful pressure washing business. If you find any of the information in my videos useful, then I'd like for you to consider becoming a paid member of the channel. Circle members and above will get access to my private Discord for members only, where you can pretty much get a hold of me 24 hours a day for inspiration, technical help, marketing advice, or just a general chat. I post pictures and videos that you won't see on any of my other socials. You'll be the first to hear about giveaways, special offers and announcements, and it's just generally a nice place full of like-minded people who are all heading towards similar goals. We've got various different experience levels. We've got a few professionals in the chat as well. If you want to push your business, in my opinion, this is the place to be. We also have 2 other membership tiers. One is just to show a bit of support for the channel, and the other one is for boosted members, which will not only give you access to the private Discord, but also loads of high quality promotional images for you to start your business. I know what it's like when you're ready to get going, but you don't have any before and after pictures to put on your leaflets. At the moment, there's about 150 images that you can use for pretty much whatever you like, and my intention is to constantly update these over the next few years with all of my before and afters that have helped promote my business. Last thing before I let you go. New videos come out every Monday night at 5:30, and then I go live at 7:30 to chat to you guys and answer as many questions as possible. We do live quotes for real customers and just generally keep up to date with everything going on in the pressure washing world. Thanks for watching. Back to the video. Should we look at some quotes together? I went out and did a couple of quotes today and took some pictures and measured up and stuff, but why can't I hear the music anymore? Is it just finished? Da, 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 da. Screenshot. Sorry guys, bear with. Bear with. Quotes. That was the drive. I've got quite an interesting slate job to do actually. That might be worth talking about. And then that's the rear patio. With a lovely dog on it. I make friends with so many dogs when I go out and do quotes. So this is the first drive. You can sort of get the idea. Good drainage. It all sort of goes down into one corner down here. They say they got a tap in the garage. They're having the virtually restoring this whole house top to bottom at the moment. So 95 square meters on the drive, and then the rear patio is a little woofy look. I think they said he's 9 years old. Old boy. Could maybe interview a few circle members at times to hear stories and setups, how they get along. Yeah, I mean, I'd be down if anyone fancies jumping on at some point. Might need to get a few prep questions. Because talking to someone that you don't know is awkward enough as it is, let alone if you haven't got anything to ask them. So I might need to do a few trial runs, get some questions loaded first before I dive into it. So the patio is working out at about 58 square meters. Let's just do this now if you guys don't mind. So I've got a note that I've started posting or pasting just on the end of all of my quotes. So I'll say the price includes a chemical treatment where required to help remove organic staining. So that's generally just hypo. Any waste from the cleaning process, sand, moss or weeds will be left with you. Ideal for a compost pile or a garden waste bin. Otherwise, I'd be happy to bag it up for you to dispose of. Please let me know if you'd like me to check availability. So before, I was spending quite some time looking through my calendar and figuring out where I can fit people in. And it's taking me like an extra 3 or 4 minutes per quote, basically. But sometimes they don't get past the point of liking the price. So I spent that extra time when they're going to turn down the quote anyway because they don't like the price, if you know what I mean. So I've stopped doing that. I've stopped wasting that little bit of time, and I'm just saying, let me know if you want me to check availability. So we'll do 95 square meter drive, wash and resand. And they want me to include the walls as well on the back. Let's just go 58 square meter rear patio, steps and wall wash. I'm going to get rid of that and just put 4 there instead. 380 for the drive. 58. We're going to go £3.50 because I'm going to do a chemical treatment as well. So ordinarily it'd be £3 for like tarmac or natural stone. Like if it's rare, but if I'm not using chemicals, it'll be about £3 per square metre. But if I'm using hypo or biocide or anything, I'll add 50p per square metre. So although that's coming up as £203, I'm gonna get this down under £200 just so it looks a little bit more appealing. So I'm gonna go in at 195 for that. Do we include the wall at 195? That's the question. Because the wall is not necessarily going to take ages, but it's quite awkward and tricky, and there's thing people forget about walls, especially garden walls, is that there are 2 sides, and when you're quoting it, you might only be thinking about the one side that's facing you, but then when you get down, start going around the corner, you got the whole other side to do as well, so it takes twice as long. These generally come up quite nice. I did one recently. It actually came up amazing. And the customer said, like, I couldn't believe the difference. They couldn't believe it was the same wall. It was this one. So that's fairly similar. I think it's a sandstone wall, isn't it? To that. Oh, look at the difference, man. That is beautiful. Worried about Washi's story. Does this look really satisfying to anyone else? I love just looking at this bit here. A lot of this, unfortunately, was very weathered and faded, so it didn't look great in quite a few areas where you could see all the stones starting to come through, but it looks better than it did. She's on about having this sealed. Smart Seal do a concrete, like a tinted, what is it again? It's a block paving, like paint. It's called Block Magic. Here we go. Now I'm wondering if I can use this on like concrete slabs, because it absorbs, rather than painting and being on the top of the surface. This stuff, you don't need the tint additive because it's already mixed in. I'm doing one of these in a couple of weeks on the 14th. Why can't I make the video why can't I make it bigger? That's what she said. But yeah, it's basically a tinted sealer. And it won't chip. Like if you were to put masonry paint on this, it will chip off very quickly. But this absorbs into the concrete, into the blocks. And the pigment actually goes into the blocks rather than sitting on top. So I don't know why. Is there any reason you can use it on block paving, but you wouldn't be able to use it on this? Does anyone know any reason? Does anyone know any reason why? That's some great work. Thanks very much. Look at the results you can get, man. Literally looks like a new drive. And it won't flake. I'm going to be doing one soon, and I'm very excited because it's going to be an absolute transformation. I'd like to get some grey sand because it's going to be like a grey and black drive. What are we thinking about these prices here? I might include the wall at 195. There's a chance they're going to be shocked at this, but it's a big drive, to be fair. 95 square meters. It ain't no walk in the park. It's a chunky drive. And also I'm going to let them know, because they're on about getting their house rendered. I'm going to suggest you might want to have it rendered and then get the pressure washing done, because chances are they're going to make a right mess. You mentioned you thinking about getting the house rendered. You might want to consider having the pressure washing done after. How much for a gutter vac system? I'm from Sydney, and from what I've been seeing, some things are dear. What about the temperature and the time of year for sealing? Should it be much warmer? Temperature's not so much of a concern. If anything, if it's over 22 degrees, well, if the ground temperature is over 22 degrees, you don't want to seal in that. You don't want to use concrete sealer in that weather. So you want to do it early morning or late at night. And it's mainly moisture. You want to get a day where it's bone dry, no moisture on the surface. Get the customer to keep their car off the drive, because sometimes if you've got a car, or you've got bins, or if you've got like a doormat or plant pots on the drive, the rest of the drive might be dry, but then as soon as you move a bin, you've got a wet patch. So make sure the customer's keeping the drive totally clear beforehand. Yeah, try and get there early morning or afternoon, late afternoon. Not in direct sunlight. As in my experience, they can really make a mess. Thanks, Jake. I'm going to send this now. We might get a response tonight. We might not. Gutter systems in Australia are quite pricey. We have some good deals here. Do they use the same sort of technique in Australia to clear gutters? Because I've seen the ones in I've lost my customer. Where have they gone? I've seen when the Americans are clearing gutters, they just basically use a leaf blower. They get up on the roof, because they've got, you know, shallow pitch roofs most of the time. They get up on the roof and either leaf blow the gutters out, or just scoop them all out by hand and throw all the stuff on the floor, pick it up afterwards. I do kind of think that there's got to be a better... There's got to be... We were looking at... Me and Soph were looking at the reason behind having gutters on your property. And it's obviously to control the flow of water. I don't know if they're a legal requirement when you build a house, but it's to stop too much moisture getting into like the footings of your house. But I thought there's got to be a better design, because they just get full with moss, they clog up, they get dirty, they don't work very well. There's got to be an alternative. I'm actually going to Google that in just a second. Where's my customer gone? There she is. Still hoping Darren might get around to putting together a really simple maintenance checklist, oil, O-rings, etc. He's a very busy man. I was going to get him to build my machine, but I think he's just got quite a lot going on at the moment, so I needed it quick. Because Jakey's starting soon. Gutter alternatives. Drip edge, drip path, French drain. Also, like a French drain go around the whole bottom of your house. I mean, that would potentially be, if you could install that from the get-go when you build the house, that could potentially be a hell of a lot less maintenance. I've just put a French drain in my mum's house. Surface water flow. Yeah, it makes all the footings of the house wet. I think just in general gutters are poorly designed. I don't think it's a good system. I like these copper ones though. These look beautiful. Look at that. Then you've got the big box gutters. Probably easier to clean out. What's this? Stone leaves will not accumulate on them. Even if they do, such things should be easier to clear off. What's that doing? Just dispersing the water out rather than just down into one place. I don't know if that's solving the problem. Smelts gutters. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's actually solving the problem. He's still getting all that water from the roof.
If you've ever had clogged up gutters or downspouts, you know what a problem that can be. But an even bigger problem is not having a gutter system at all, like this house. Now, as you can see, without a gutter system, rainwater has fallen from the roof and basically dug a trench and eroded the ground down to gravel. Now, this is not good because water can collect here near the base of the home and could cause foundation problems. Those are very expensive to repair. So today, we're going to install a modern gutter which works just like a traditional gutter but without the cleaning and the maintenance. It's called the rain handler. It has a louver design sort of like a Venetian blind. So when rain
Or a Porsche 911 from back in the day. Those rear louvers on the back. Did it have a back window?
water hits the louvers, it disperses the water 2 to 3 feet away from the house in rain-sized droplets. And because of the design, leaves or other debris won't get trapped in the louvers. Now these are made out of rust-proof aluminum and they come in 3 different colors. You can choose from white.
Is that enough? 2 to 3 feet sending the water away from the property, is that enough?
The rain handler is easy to install. Let me show you how. The way to determine how much material you'll need is to measure the fascia board around your house and then divide by 5. That's because the product comes in 5-foot sections. Now if you have an odd number, just measure up to the next 5-foot increment. Our next step is to install our brackets around the fascia board. Now the first bracket needs to be installed 10 inches away from the edge of the fascia board, which is here, and then every 20 inches after that for the length of the run. Now the most important part about installing the bracket is to make sure that the bottom part of the bracket sits flush with the bottom of the fascia board. That way the rain handler sits low enough that there's enough drop for the water to create the energy to disperse it away from the house.
You can tell they've thought about it.
We're using aluminum screws to install our brackets.
What's the best anti-vibration gloves? What's the best anti-vibration gloves? I've started getting pins and needles in my second year doing this, and it's a little worrying. I had the same problem. I had exactly the same issue. I thought I can't do this forever because that looks a little bit neater actually than normal gutters, to be honest. They look very modern. This is a very old video, but it looks... I mean, it was posted 3 years ago, but this looks like something from the 90s. What's your setup at the moment? What sort of trigger have you got and lance? Because I found as soon as I got a proper setup with a decent machine that was mounted correctly on the anti-vibration plates, and then made sure it was fed enough water with the buffer tank, and then got the ST2600 trigger, I only had vibrations and pins and needles using my old machine, and I remember having a lot of various different leaks and stuff that were causing vibrations on the pressure washer. I found that it was more about my equipment setup than it was, you know, which gloves I was wearing and stuff. It was more about preventing it in the first place rather than trying to fix it.
It's dispersing the water away from the house, which is going to help reduce the risk of foundation problems. And unlike traditional gutters, you don't have to clean this or maintain it.
Was it dispersing water away from the house? I'm not sure if it was. That's a bold claim. There's no control where the water's going. No, I don't think that would pass in the UK personally. I don't know if there's a legal requirement though to actually have gutters on your house. It's just probably within the homeowner's interest so that they don't get structural issues later on down the line. Yeah, this is how the Americans are doing it.
Any money like I did when I first started. I just got a 2-gallon tank, filled it, about a third up with bleach. This is how you can do the cheapest soft wash. You literally just, pump this up a few times.
He's using...
All soft wash is, we're just spraying bleach,
He's just using hypo, but he hasn't cleaned any of the moss off, so...
Put a little bit of surfactant in there, a little bit of soap. Takes a little bit longer than the machine, but...
Thanks, Luke.
Works.
I will do, mate. I'll do some videos. Thanks for watching, mate.
You start to see it turning yellow right there.
So yeah, it's turning yellow. Is that... So has that moss been killed now then? And that'll just naturally drop off by itself when it's weathered?
Boom.
Is that the goal?
Well done.
Because it's not clean. And that's not the same as Biocide. It's it's not going to keep it clean. After cleaning the roof to actually cure the moss growing, attach strips of zinc. I live in this neighbourhood, follow the same process and it does not work. I've done the process 4 times now and I've had to manually remove the moss and it's still not going away. It dies and falls off from rain and drying out once dead. Needs a moss preventer. Bleach will kill the moss, scrape it off, then apply the preventer. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So it will kill it short term, but I don't think it's going to drop off the roof, is it? I don't know. Ray's got some gloves for you. There we go. Jeez! Almost 60 quid for a pair of gloves. They better be good. Are they heavy? Do they restrict any of your movement? Because that would be the thing for me. And also, are they waterproof? Because if they're not waterproof, then... Suitable for machine operation and mining, specifically mining. Automotive building, mining, maintenance and repair. Padded design, anti-vibration, prevent white finger. I don't know if it's waterproof though. I paid 50 quid for waterproof socks, really. Lots of small changes to the setup will do more than gloves, PTFE tape, etc. Yeah, also, one thing I forgot to mention, fitting, it's probably mainly with a turbo nozzle, isn't it? When I got the turbo nozzle hard mounted to the end of the lance, instead of having a 1/4 inch connection, having it actually screwed onto the end of the lance and having a dedicated turbo lance, when the turbo's going round, if you were to slow it down in slow motion, the whole end of the lance is doing this, because the turbo nozzle is allowed to move around in that 1/4 inch fitting, that quick release fitting. But if you screw it onto the end of the lance, it eliminates that, and that's probably where most of your vibrations are coming from. Guys, I think I'm going to head off. I'm going to have an early one tonight. Sorry that there's no video. I will try and get one out this week, but I'm just struggling at the moment. I'm so busy. Yeah, I just basically wanted to come on and show you that new machine, and we've answered some questions. No video and finishing early. I know. You must be hungover. I'm not. I'm actually feeling fine. I'm just, I've sort of run out of steam a little bit and I want to go and spend some time with Soph, so. Do need to go on a course for chemicals. Yeah, the Pure Seal approved applicator course, Biocide training. Yeah, no worries, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please sub to the channel and like the stream. Click like on this live stream. And, yeah, enjoy yourselves. See you in a bit. Have a good week. I'm just going to take a short break to talk about Moja, who have kindly sponsored this video. As some of you guys already know, I like to quote all of my jobs based on a price per square metre for each different surface type. In the beginning, when I was pricing up driveways and patios, I used to just take a tape measure with me. Not only do I think that looks a little bit unprofessional, but I also think it falls apart when you want to measure any kind of curved area without being some sort of maths genius. Then I gradually switched over to Google Earth, but I found myself constantly questioning the accuracy in the measurements, and also most of the time the images were too shadowy or blurry to get a decent view of the area. One of my landscaping friends recommended the Moja 1 to me because he said it's way more accurate than any of those other methods, and it was speeding up the time it was taking him to put these quotes together. The Moja 1 literally measures down to the millimetre, and you can quickly plot out any shaped driveway, patio, steps, curves, walls. I've not come across one thing that it hasn't tackled yet. It's been a few weeks since Moja sent this out to me, but in that time it's completely transformed my quoting workflow. You can save multiple measurements to specific project folders, and I've been emailing the PDFs from my phone directly to the customer. You guys know I only work with suppliers who I think are going to benefit my audience, and I couldn't think of a better product to streamline the quoting process. It's so simple to use. If you'd like to try the Moja 1, head to moja.co.uk and use my code X8SMELTS to get £20 off your order. Link in the description. 71 square meters.
That's mad.
Sick, innit? It's so accurate, and you can like see it in 3D space as well.
So good.
Look at that. So you can see the fall off. So say if you've got like a driveway that's sloping in, and you're not sure when the water's going to flow.
No way. So it's picked up the steps. It's picked up that little bit. Mate, that is sick.
Hey everyone, have a nice week. See you in a bit.